Yeah, I'm live too. We're live. No intro today. Got it. Got it. Got it. Hold on. I got to do one little riff before we go. I've been run down and I've been lied to. Man, it seems to me there's been a whole lot of lying going on. Maybe there's always been a lot of lying going on, but for sure it appears that there's a lot available, a lot of lies available. Matt, technology is everywhere. If you let me share, I want to share something because we talked yesterday and we talked last week, and we will continue to talk about it until it either plays out or it doesn't. And that was the polar vortex that is building in the Arctic. Most snow cover in the Northern Hemisphere since 1967, and a growing cold air mass that sooner or later, if history repeats, which it usually does, it's going to collapse, man. It's got to collapse. And what I wanted to share is we talked also about the AI, right? Artificial intelligence, Matt. The AI, this is what I typed in. Polar vortex eats climate protester, right? And just from those words, this is the graphic that it came up with. And I think I think it's fantastic. In fact, it's so good. I want to show it even bigger here for everybody to understand how good well, that's not it. How good. Look at this. Unreal. I mean, it's like a polar bear, but it's got like a hood on, breathing fire and eating a shriveled up little climate protester. I don't know. I thought it was fun. And I actually just did that, Matt. And then I saw that you shared this in the network, that polar bears seem to be liking global warming as their, we don't know why, but their population is doing very well. And I say all of this to get back to the discussion around climate change, and that there's going to be winners and losers, Matt. And let's go back to the article, because you got to follow. Sometimes you got to follow me. I got a thread that you got to follow. All right, this was the article that we've talked about. Europe may avoid gas crunch this winter and next, Trafigura says. All right, so I did a little research. What is Trafigura? Well, they're giant, right? They're a giant company, and they're connecting vital resources to power and build the world. Not only that, they closed a $600 million contract for mining transactions. Not only that, the CEO, let's go back this way. There was just a climate conference somewhere, right? And he was talking about carbon credits. There's a lot of money to be made in the climate narrative, yeah. Matt, a lot of money to be made. We shared last week how 5,000 years of copper mining is going to have to be mined in the next 22 years, which, let's face it, that's an impossibility. There's no chance that could happen. But there's still price discovery around it.
Yeah, well, so, I also posted another item in there. You might want to bring that up. It was actually a forward from Shy Girl, and she was talking about.
Oh yeah, the Dutch.
Well, it's a continuation on that same story. Yes.
Yeah. Well, my question to you is, how in the hell is this actually going to be possible? Again, like if they do this, do they just want to kill people?
Yeah, well, that's what Klaus says. I mean,
do they just want to? And this was it. Let me share it. This was Shy Girl sharing. Netherlands, number 2 ag exporter in the world, produces 4 million cows, 13 million pigs, 104 million chickens annually. Europe's biggest meat exporter. It also provides most of the vegetables. Incredible vertical grows that they have going on in the Netherlands, and the compulsory purchase by the government. Like, how are they going to purchase 3,000 farms unless somebody, maybe they're getting the money from FTX, I don't know.
Well, and then there was another one that she posted, and she was talking about energy CEOs hit the mute button on, ESG. And what this means is there's really no interest right now in this product to the retail market. So the use of environmentally friendly terms on U.S. fossil fuel companies' earnings calls, all right, has declined 40%. So just like pronouns are going to decline and fade away, this fad of bump kiss is going to go away unless you work in a socialist field like education or healthcare.
So then it's not going away.
Well, the business work, well, but I think at some point there's going to be a battle for these types of things. And so since the earnings calls last week were down 40% with this type, they're not even mentioned, they're not wasting time. So they're not putting, if they're not talking about it, they're not putting money towards it. So that's the important thing here, is that I think it will be rejected because it makes no business sense. Like it makes zero business sense to increase your costs, when there are plentiful opportunities to reduce your costs with other energy sources. Like it makes no sense at some point, and it's the same thing with the consumer. Like we've talked about, if you get oil to $12 a gallon, less people are going to drive. They're not going to, they're not going to. So if you want people to start, like really, if, Biden wants to influence decision, then yeah, get oil up to, $200 a gallon. Then you might have a story. When it's cheaper, when there's cheaper energy sources. So be careful what you wish for, because that will create total chaos and collapse of the economy if you do that too. So
we've been talking polar vortex, we've been talking natty and crude. But let's jump to you pick a miner. We haven't talked miners in a while, so pick a miner. We talked copper last week, and actually copper looked like it was rolling over, as it's more of a if economies slow down, how can that be good for anything?
Well, I had Freeport. I'll bring up Freeport FCX, and currently trading 37.44 into balance. This is a long-term chart, 610 we're looking at. So
beautiful is that? Exactly. Sell the wings.
So really this looks like, I'd be a seller up to like 44, and we're kind of in this 25 to 55 range, and we're right in the middle of it. So yeah, to me this is starting to look like a sell, especially as it gets up to that 42 to 44 area.
Lee asked for BTU. What is BTU? Never heard of it. Let's do it, Lee. We'll do it for you. We did it for
BTU
Lee.
is Peabody Energy, and again, trading 31.24. No dividends. By the way, the dividends on Freeport is something like a 1.5%. So they're paying something at least to hold their stock. This stock looks, this looks good. It looks, I would buy this when it gets down to 20, and I'd sell it when it gets up to 30. That's what it's done for the last 2 years. So we're just in a sine wave there. Next 10 comes on a break of 20 and a break of 33, 34. There you go.
Clean. It's clean. It's a clean chart.
It's a very clean chart. Bullish for sure, but I don't like to chase things at the nearing of the top unless it starts closing on a daily and then a weekly over that number. Then it gets more interesting to me.
Right on. All right, man. Let me share again. Also, giant in the news obviously is we talked about it yesterday. Apple, and we had a good conversation last night about how similar this is from apartheid. And let me explain that a little bit. The fact is, when you invest in China, you get cheap labor. And as long as you're willing to stomach whatever happens there, it's a good return. It's a great model. We talked about apartheid. It didn't get unraveled in a day or a week or a month. It took several years of people saying, you know what, I've had enough, and I am not gonna stomach having an investment in that country with what's going on there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's similar here. Like there was talk about how, Tim Cook has got to thread the needle here. Of course, he's going to make the argument that, investing in China and giving people jobs, it brings a bunch of people out of abject poverty, and that's a great side of the story. But if
it does, but it's not fast enough, strong enough, right?
And if they start mowing people down,
and by the way, I don't know if you know this, I really haven't seen it on Twitter, but they were mowing them down last night. Let me show you real quick.
Yeah. Please do, because then it becomes a lot more
Gunshots again. Gunshots and people fleeing all over in China. That's why the market. That's why the market fell 1.5%, Bobby. So this hit at 8 o'clock Pacific, which is 11 o'clock Eastern. The market, if you just go to the tape, the market was right here. It was actually climbing out of the hole there. Right, I'm just looking at the NASDAQ. It was 624 and it collapsed immediately. Like, you want to see what a market, again, money speaks, right? So
it does. I mean, that's all there is to it. At the end
of the day,
and
that's why we keep talking about this. And then the other thing is the dollar was falling at that point, right here, 735. Boom, dollar rallied huge. So money leaves China when this happens. It's not good for Chinese when the Chinese start firing on their own people, right? It's not good for the U.S. either, because there's companies that have risk dollars at play, and Apple, in addition, is down today. And I'll bring up that chart just so we can talk about it again.
Yeah, I wanted to look at Apple and I want to look at Nike too, because another giant manufacturing base.
So Apple again down another $3. So in 3 days we've gone from 155 all the way down here to 140. So again about a 10% haircut, and really three or four. If you go back to this high, that was end of October. But this recent high of 153, again close enough to 10% here at 140. And needs to hold this level. But again, listen, I'm going to say right here, Apple's going to trade to $70. Nothing has changed. I mean, it's the same picture until Apple bottoms, and it won't bottom until, and this could be the reason, to drive it lower finally. But again, we've talked about this chart, and we've basically been in this 50-point range, 128 to 178, and we're right in the middle of it, leaning towards the bottom end of it, below the point of control. We got to go test the next part on that chart down there in the 110s, looks like to me. And then again, the COVID low is way back here. And if you don't think these things are all going to do this, I think there's just too many people are using Apple as a safety stock, right? And there's too much potential things going on now that are going to take this thing, I think, at least back to this level, at least back to 80 to 70. And again, ultimately, the point of control still on this chart is way back here to $50. So, and the COVID low is 52.87. If you don't think it can trade there, we're having a serious argument really over the last year and change. When we broke out above this 140 level, which now we're below, this is not a good sign. This is not a good sign for, the things to come in the Apple world. I would be very careful thinking your money is safe in Apple just because it's been a great stock for 40 years. So be careful out there.
Matt, along with that, this that you shared inside the network, the 7 fat quarters of excess income is over. A great chart here from Bloomberg. Bloomberg telling you that there's going to be a mild winter for the next 2 winters, and also that the 7 fat quarters are over. Thank you, Bloomberg, for making things tradable. Not necessarily on your information, but you need information because there's great information to fade also, Matt. So when Bloomberg chants their climate warming agenda, great opportunities to trade. But anyway, this does not bode well for, if there's not excess income, nobody's buying a new iPhone 78 or whatever the frick it is. Matt, please bring up Nike. And actually, before you do that, let me just show you something here. Back to, you get to make a decision, right? And I did not know this, so I searched it on Free Spoke. I free spoke that shit. Athletic shoes, and let me share it. Hold on a second. Zoom meeting, share. I free spoke this shit. Athletic shoes made in the USA. All right. And I was shocked actually to see that there's actually a fair number of them. Yeah. Carson Footwear, 2015 from Philomath, Oregon.
Pseudo. They're all ex Nike guys who think they can do better than
I don't know. This 1987 Pseudo shoes.
Yeah,
St. Louis, Missouri.
Nike's been around since the 70s, so they're all came from the same thing.
Victory Sportswear, 2015. SAS, 1976. The problem here, though, for you, and then you got some no frills running sandals. As let's just go to one of them that sold on Amazon, $194. Matt, for your I am not going to invest my money in China bases.
Right.
Anyway, bring up Nike and let's talk about, that same shoe from Nike made in China is what, $48, $58, unless it's got some mega athlete whose name is attached to it.
Right.
Seems like it's probably a 5X to support local shoe manufacturers.
Are you seeing my chart?
Yeah, I am. We don't
Okay.
see you anymore, which is fine because you got a face for radio.
Right. Yeah, I think that happened again. We've been having all kinds of lovely Zoom issues, but and this chart isn't populating, so I don't know what's going on here, Bob. But Nike now had a nice little bounce here from the low 82 recently, now up here to 106. Looks like it's just stair stepping down very, very respectfully is what I would say. This thing was trading, close to 200 at the end of 21. And now 180, it's been, lost $100. So it's getting pretty much throttled. Any rallies that you could get up to that 120 to 140 area, I'd be back in, the options world looking to sell some things there for sure on the call side.
Right on. And
I'd also like to look at Lulu just because it's another name that, they're selling $100 leggings that are made probably for $250 and some fat profit margin. So yeah, if you want to bring that back stateside, you're going to have some difficulty. But apparently, both sides of the equation love this stock still because it's been, it's been hanging up pretty good. It's actually green again today. Been as high as near 500, 484. Traded down to 250-ish, so got cut in half, and now half back. So this to me is another stock that I think with the consumer, probably going to be keeping their old leggings for the next few years and not purchasing new $100 3 and 4 pair of these. I've got to imagine you got to put gas in the car before you can. That's another why. And by the way, why don't people pick on the manufacturing of spandex, because it's all oil.
Man, we're gonna make wool great again.
But hey, wool breathes better too. I'm just saying,
let's make wool great again.
Heavy Leicester is the most uncomfortable and nasty.
Wait a second. Wool is like, you imagine a full wool undergarment? Like, I can't think of a more itchy thing in my life. Like, oh, I never even understood it, how people could wear the wool that they wore. Like, maybe I'm sensitive. I've never been told that before, but maybe it's true. Maybe I'm sensitive. And why do you get to pick and choose?
I mean, because again, we've talked about water bottle companies, we've talked about so many things, but where is it that you decide? Yeah, I mean, spandex, it's all
petroleum product, yes.
Oil based. So pretty much, again, where do you draw the line? You want to raise your flag for Ukraine? You want to raise your flag for what else? The transgender, but you want to keep wearing your spandex and kill Greta? Where do you draw the line?
Well, they finally at least did. The climate activists have the 30 under 30. The gal is gorgeous. They finally understood that beauty still sells, no matter what they want to tell you. What is beautiful, no matter what they want to tell you. So they're changing their game plan too. Like sex sells, beauty sells, and we better re-engineer our narrative. And the AI, by the way, is going to weigh in on this. I just can't get over how great that graphic is, and we're going to share our AI every day going forward. And just to expose it,
aren't you going to put together like a whole NFT on all these that you?
I should be selling all of my, because let's face it, the AI can only do its magic with my wordsmith, because it creates the image from my wordsmithing. All right, so it just didn't think this up on its own. I had to prompt it. I had to say, polar vortex eats climate protester, and that's what it came up with.
Hey, let's look at a little bit more on Under Armour. You want to talk kind of a secondary player in the market. It's not Nike, it's not Reebok, but it's Under Armour, and this brand has been struggling, and it's because it's hard to compete against these legacy monsters like like Nike and Adidas, and and then newcomers like Lulu came in there and they've somehow avoided the oil discussion, so they've done well. But at some point, again, these are all trendy companies, and they all have a shorter life cycle than forever, in my opinion. Even Nike. I mean, Nike could go the other way, and but again, it's so deep and it's so etched into our society and our culture that it's not easy. And it's the same. It's also the same thing that I was saying to you about Apple. And you could talk about that all you want. No, you're going to leave your Apple and go buy Elon's new phone. It won't happen. It's just not.
Well, wait a second.
It's not that it won't. It's not that it won't happen. It's just not going to happen overnight. You cannot disrupt that big of an eco structure. You just can't disrupt it that quickly, because they have friends in low places that want to chop your knees out. I mean, they do. I mean, look at what they're doing right now. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Again, I will say that if
you're going to end up with a horse's head in your bed if you say things against Tim Cook.
I don't think so. I think they're in a tight situation here, and have been trying to shift their manufacturing, from what I've read, to India. But who says that can't go sideways also?
Right.
Matt Lee pointing out that Nancy is trying to get the Congress to intervene in a railroad strike, much like the Reagan administration finding a way to disrupt the union of air traffic controllers. Matt, the thing that amazes me though on these narratives, like, how can you look at a tech company's valuation and then see what Elon did at Twitter? He got rid of 80% of the staff, and the thing still runs fine. Like,
well, I'm interested in this story as it continues to roll out. He's been talking about it, right? Twitter's reinstating 62,000 banned accounts, which I have 2 of those, and suspension amnesty. It says, okay, so 10,000 followers. I think I had around 21,000 on the missed trade. So will I be back because because all I did is retweet some VAR's information? That's what got me canceled. You
just retweeted Alex Berenson, who was canceled.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But he was canceled. He's back. Jordan Peterson, I was retweeting all his stuff on this. So that's what got me canceled. It's not like I was making up this stuff. I was just spreading the truth. And isn't it crazy that if you turn on mainstream media, these people are scared. They're literally scared because they know that there are emails and there are receipts. There are receipts, I can assure you, between the government and their implanted people in Twitter. It's already happened to Facebook. You saw what Facebook got to, it got wiped. And I think Apple has a part to do in both of those. So you have to really look at where the money is coming from, and the money is feeding from. This story is not going to go away. It's not going away.
Well, especially it's funny.
And just because you take Twitter off of the App Store, like I'm on Twitter via a browser. I don't use the app except if I'm on my phone, but I can still get to it via twitter.com. So,
Matt, our friend Jim Euro shared this. This is an Illinois cross-country meet, I believe. That's Lincoln Way, and all the girls are masked up.
Wait, but is this year or is this 2020?
No, I think this is it doesn't matter the fact that it happened at all.
No, it happened. It happened, and my kids played lacrosse and were wearing masks underneath their helmet. I mean, and in football they were doing the same thing. I'm like, really? You're going to line up a 250-pound boys and mash heads and make them wear a mask underneath?
Well, the best was in Illinois, wrestlers could wrestle without masks, but then they couldn't shake each other's hands after the match.
After they've grappled?
Yeah. But okay. My point is, I came in with the song Whipping Post, and it starts out as I've been run down and I've been lied to. And all of this is coming out. All right. It's all coming out. Yeah. And it's trust the science. And that's what they told us, except Newsweek this was back in 21. This was Fauci himself in a personal email. I don't recommend that you wear a mask.
Right.
I don't recommend that you wear a mask. I don't recommend that you wear a mask, particularly since you're going to a very low risk location. I'm not sure it could be lower risk than outside running. Maybe it could be. I don't know. It's unbelievable is what it is. Lucy, you got a lot of explaining to do, and be careful if you're in the north, because there's a lot more polar bears than there was in 1970, apparently.
You know, I was reading a little history last night, and it was actually talking about some Polish troops in World War II. They were hunkered down in a long battle for a couple of years, and they had a brown bear that they befriended, and he ended up loading ammunition on the trucks for them. Like he was
Shut up.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll send it to you. I wanted to send it to you before the show because it was a great story. I was like, and they called him Wojek, Wojek, total Polish name. And I was like, wow, that's super cool. And they have a picture of him in the bunker with the two of the soldiers. Like he's just sitting there with like smiling for the picture. It's great.
I don't believe you. So you're telling me Kojak was a Polak?
No, not Kojak, Wojak.
I understand. See, baby, it's cold outside. Man, I'm going to learn that song, the great Christmas song.
I just heard it this morning, and it is a great song.
Great, because the polar vortex is going to collapse. And I'm just wondering if you have your hedges on, if you've bought enough, fuel oil, if you're in the Northeast. Hold on a second. Spam. There's spam a lot.
I want to talk about this. I was reading Calculated Risk this morning again, always my go-to source for all things real estate related. Case-Shiller National House Price Index continued to decline, 10.6 year over year increase in September. So again, we're at that transitional stage where things are, going from up all the time to now going down. The trend has changed. You do not want to be chasing real estate to the long side right now. You should be patient if you're looking to buy, because in a year things are going to be even cheaper than they are today.
Matt, do me a favor, because scroll back up. Please tell me how fat that whole underwater level was. How long of a time period was that?
What, this down
yeah,
here?
exactly. Well, yeah, and then all the way to the right there.
That was 7 years.
I mean, that's so important to understand.
So this is where we are. We're in 06, and guess what? This is 22, and this is way worse than we started in 06. So now, again, I don't see this as the same situation as 08 and 9. It's completely different because it's not a mortgage-based fiasco like it was that time. So, and again, I really don't see us dropping maybe more than 30% from the outlandish highs that you saw wherever you may have been. So I'm looking at maybe a 30-40% comeback. I'm not looking for 60 to 80. I don't see that happening. I really don't. So
right on. All right, man. All right. Let's
but
anything else?
Well, I mean, I think that's interesting. Oh, okay. My balls are falling off. My Denny McLain and Brooks Robinson baseballs all decided to roll off here.
That's too bad that we can't see them.
Yep.
That's a shame. That's a shame. That's it.
So I mean, the China thing's gonna. Well,
yeah. That is.
Listen, we have Fed speak tomorrow. This is important. Like what do we have coming the rest of the week? Because it's been quiet again today. Today, I think it's selling off because of what's happening in China, and as long as we hold 3,900 on the SPOOs, Bob, I continue to think that that's okay. So, Kate, we had the Case-Shiller home prices again today. Tomorrow we have. A lot of GDP second estimate, so just a deflator, Chicago PMI, pending home sales, crude oil tomorrow, beige book tomorrow, a lot of things tomorrow.
You know what, man? Let me jump in here and share one thing really. And
then Friday, Friday, don't forget we have jobs. We have the jobs number. So I think enjoy the quiet today. Tomorrow it should pick up, and up to Friday. With the jobs, we should have a little bit more volatility, I think, in these markets.
All right, Matt, this is the weekly SPOOs continuation, and I just want to continually point out the importance of the slope of the modeling. And we took out that up momentum level for the past 3 weeks. We've been above it, but not enough to change the slope of that line. And if they crap out this week, that's going to be incredibly weak going forward. I was actually thinking that we were going to hold here and that we were going to, possibly rally into the end of the year. This week becomes pivotal. You tried saying that. Pivotal to me. Pivotable. Who am I? Harold Washington? Pivotal. One of the great wordsmiths of all time, Chicago Mayor Harold Washington.
Well, maybe you won
this is a week.
Maybe you should be up for the Nobel Prize.
I know I have noble gas occasionally. Anyway, it's heavier than most. Goes to the floor. Listen to me. If this was the end of the week, if this was Friday, I would be like, that is a terrible. And of course, we got the rest of the week to decide this, right? But if you want to convince me that we're going to rally into the end of the year, we better retake the opening of this week. We got to turn this candle green by the end of the week, or I think we give a bunch back. In fact, I think we peg by year end that lower momentum level at 3,700. Seems to me clean, clear, and simple.
Well, again, I think it's even easier than that right now, Bob. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go just tell you the one thing you got to watch: the dollar. Right there.
Right on.
And the dollar's green today. It was green. It sold off. It was selling off until the shots were fired in the Chinese city, and that hit the news. That took the markets down. That took this back to the high of the day. So all you really have to do is watch the dollar. It's bouncing. If the dollar turns back down towards 105, 104, then the market will be up. I think he really, for me, the line in the sand for the SPOOs is somewhere around 38.60, 70. We're at 39.55. So still bullish. Matter of fact, if we were able to get I wanted to see a push down to 3,900. We got 39.40 today. I would start buying today ahead of the Fed speak tomorrow and the jobs. I would start buying. I think actually we're going to get again another push higher if I could get down to that 38.60 to 3,900 level. That's like my 1% buy zone, right? So, but we're not there. So now I'm sitting there going, twiddling thumbs and waiting for price to do whatever it's going to do, because we're having an argument here at 39.60. 39.60 is a big number also on the upside. So unless they can take that out, it's not likely we're going to go much higher.
And by the way, nice tasty trade graphic there. Thank you. Tasty Works. Not a sponsor. Should be. Not a sponsor. Could be. Anyway. All right, Matt, that's what we got. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lee, as always. And please join us at marketfundamentals.io. Please share, retweet, and plagiarize far and wide. Please go to Amazon.com and buy some Shrimp Mojo. Let me ask you this. Do you know a restaurateur? And I'm not asking you or Lee. I'm asking you. Do you know a restaurateur, a mom and pop small bar owner that needs to take their spice in their kitchen to another level? Shrimp Mojo is a Cajun spice, and if you have a Cajun spice in your kitchen, please do yourself a favor and everybody that enjoys your fine establishment and up the Cajun spice to Manja Shrimp Mojo. That's what I'm saying. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Bobby. And as always, be Cajun.
Look at that graphic. I'm going to share that. I'm going to share the graphic on Twitter, and you can.
Looks like it's eating looks like it is eating my name, an M for Matt. Oof.
It sure does. It sure does.
Bring Miss Trade back, by the way.
Polar vortex. Miss Trade coming back. I bet you're back by the end of the week. That's my over under.
I will believe it when I see it.
By Friday, Miss Trading.
I will believe.
All right, pal.